So what was going through your mind when you crossed the finish line and you're handed that big, giant check to Western?
I was really happy to be done. I thought you were going to say you were handed that big, giant baby because my dad handed my son off to me about 30 feet before the finish line.
Hey everybody, I'm Norm.
And I'm Jodi.
And this is another gottarunracing podcast.
What's happening in the world of ultra running?
Well, there's just this past weekend, we were glued to the TV to watch Black Canyon. And great performance by Hayden Hawks, coming off a knee surgery, crushing the course record.
Indeed. In different conditions, too. Snow on the ground, race delay, mud.
Mud. Yeah, that was incredible performance.
Sure was.
And then Jupiter from Mexico coming in second.
Do you know how I knew that? Because in Mexico, I'm Jodi.
That's right. That's how you can never forget.
That's right. So I had the inside tell on how to pronounce Jupiter. But it was a very exciting finish. And not only that, today on the podcast, who do we have?
Who is on the podcast today?
Might have been the first place female, Rachel Drake.
What?
Yeah, very excited to get into speaking with her. But before we do, what's happening in the world of gottarunracing?
Well, our new website just went live and uncensored.
Gosh, I hope it's censored.
And all our races are up and running.
For registration, that's right. So if you head on over to gottarunracing.com, check out our new website, let us know what you think. It's a big departure from our last one, so we're really excited about it. And you can click on upcoming events. It'll take you over to Race Roster, and you can sign up for Lost Treasure, Rainbow Trail, and Island Lake Classic.
All right, we will see you there.
Sure will.
And who did you say is on our podcast today?
Oh yeah, remember? Rachel Drake.
Oh, right.
Rachel is 32. She lives in Portland, Oregon. She's a fairly new mom. She has her PhD in medical sciences, and her partner is ultra runner Tyler Green. Rachel has run with the Bowerman Track Club in Portland and earned a marathon personal best of 2:35:28 at the California International Marathon in Sacramento this past December, which is well below Olympic trial standards.
Yeah, wow.
And she started 2024 off with a bang with a win at the Hong Kong 33K, which is the first World Trail Majors race of the year. And now with her win at Black Canyon, she's earned her golden ticket to the big show Western States in June.
Wow, we have lots to talk about. I think that's going to be her first 100-miler.
Wow.
So,
well, let's find out.
Without further ado, here is Rachel coming up.
Awesome.
Well, welcome to the podcast, and big congrats on winning Black Canyon on not a very easy day with the mud conditions.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
But before we get into Black Canyon, we also want to congratulate you on your Hong Kong win.
Thank you.
And you crushed that record by 40 minutes. What was that like?
That was really fun. The terrain over there is a lot different from what I'm used to. But it was such an incredible experience, not just the race, but being in Hong Kong and getting to experience the culture and the warm people over there. It was really incredible.
It must have been tough to get acclimatized because that's a pretty long flight, especially coming from the West Coast, and the temperature wouldn't be, I know it's not super hot at that time of year, but did you find it tough to get acclimatized for race day?
Surprisingly, with the time difference, it wasn't so bad. We kind of lucked out on our flight because it was a pretty empty flight. So we had a lot of space to spread out and actually get some pretty good sleep. So
nice.
That helped. And then, yeah, it was a lot warmer than what we're used to. And I hadn't done any heat training before that race. So it took a little bit of time, but we were able to get out on the course and experience both the conditions in terms of the temperature and the humidity, but also just the difference in terrain. So I felt pretty prepared going into race day, considering all of that.
That's great.
What made you choose this race?
It was purely because my husband wanted to do the 100K, and I said, if I'm coming with you, I want to get in on the action. So I emailed the race director and asked if I could get into the 33K, and they were kindly let me in.
Nice.
That sounds familiar, eh, Norm?
Yeah. Same with us.
We have a little agreement that if he's picking a race internationally one year, then I get to pick the next one.
Oh, okay.
So this is my year. So I, of course, picked one that, isn't on everyone's radar, but we're going to Slovenia in April. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Wow. Which race are you doing?
It's called Ultra Trail Vivapa Valley. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it just looked like a really beautiful part of the world. And Slovenia is a relatively small country. So it would be fun we like to obviously attach it to a vacation, although we never do it in the right order. We always do the race at the end of the vacation, which is not the way to do it.
Yeah. I've told Tyler, I said, I want to go on a vacation sometime, someplace cool where we're not doing races. 'Cause I don't think we've ever done that where we don't race, but
no. But, it's a fun way to see a country, certainly.
yeah, absolutely.
I think she signed us up with too many glasses of wine. I didn't know about it for a week later.
Oh, really? Wow.
Speaking of international races, have you noticed a difference, or can you pinpoint a difference that you would say between the organization of a race overseas versus in North America? Because we certainly have noticed differences, but I'm curious to hear from your standpoint being an elite.
I think in terms of, you have a unique perspective, as race directors. So I'm sure you're noticing things that I might not notice. The things that I tend to think about are what's at the aid station. So, for example, in Europe, it's oftentimes cheeses and cured meats, and that's not something that I'm used to eating while running. I don't think I've ever seen potato chips at a European trail race aid station, but Coca-Cola is something that tends to be unanimously provided. Other things about race organization, I think, most of the time courses are really well marked, and that's not a country specific thing. It's more of a race specific thing. There've been races in the United States put on by companies that I think don't do as good of a job marking the courses. But I think from my perspective, that's probably the most important thing that a race could do. Second to nothing else. And then in terms of, maybe this isn't a race organization thing, but more of a cultural thing. It's just some places the community seems a lot more involved in the races. People are out cheering with their kids. That's something that I think is really cool and something more unique to Europe.
That we would agree with that 100%, because we were at UTMB last year and Norm was mentioning how, in the middle of the night, there would be these tiny towns and there'd be the whole town.
I love it.
Out. Yeah.
I love it so much. The kids get to stay up past their bedtime to cheer on the runners, and the kids seem excited about it too.
I think that's something North America can definitely work on, because oftentimes, especially if there's any kind of road section in a race, the town are really not for it. And there's other ways to get around that, rather than being upset that they're coming through your area and you can't go down this road today instead of that road. Like, we got to work on that for sure. Yeah.
I do remember hoping for homemade pie at the aid stations, but I never saw any.
Oh, really?
It was gone by the first 1,000 people at UTMB.
Oh, that'd be fun. Tyler did a race in Italy, and there was someone who was offering the runners tea throughout the night, and he said, "Oh yeah, that sounds nice. Maybe I'll have some tea." But then the woman went back into her home that was up on some mountain, and she's like, "Okay, I just need to boil the water." And he said, "Oh no, sorry, I need to go."
That's funny.
It's funny.
All right, let's get into Black Canyon. A little bit of a delay at the start with 1 inch of snow. And when we heard that, being Canadian, we thought, well, that's nothing.
It was a big deal.
What's the big deal? That's just a regular day for us. But how did you handle the delay being 2 hours?
Yeah, I think the delay was more because the bus drivers, their contract, I guess, wouldn't allow them to drive in those wintry conditions. And I'm actually originally from Minnesota, so I'm used to the snow, and I ran in college and did all my running outside pretty much all throughout the winter. So I'm okay running in the snow. When we heard that the race was pushed back, I hadn't been looking at my phone because I was just trying to sort of get in the zone. And my husband Tyler said the race is pushed back 2 hours, and I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I just got a text, and then I checked it, and we just went back to bed." I had already done a couple things. I had eaten about half my breakfast and braided my hair and put on my anti-chafe stuff. So I just sort of put my pajamas back on and fell right back asleep, amazingly.
Wow.
Which
great.
I think is really interesting, because normally when I wake up on race morning, I'm already kind of, I can feel my adrenaline starting. Yeah, my nerves. I can feel it starting to come on. So I'm really, really glad that I was able to fall back asleep and then just do it all over again in a couple hours.
It's funny you mentioned that, because Becca said exactly the same thing. And my comment was, wow, like, to be that relaxed, to be able to go back to sleep, I think speaks to your performance on the day. Because as you said, normally you wouldn't be able to do that. So that's an interesting note.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember, you did run the 60K before, so you do know the course. And I was wondering, because of the hype, did you take off like a 5K race, or did you hold back?
I think I held back. I felt really calm and relaxed just from the second the gun went off, or I don't even know if it was a gun, but the second the race started, I felt really relaxed and found myself in a group of, a big group of women. I think Heather and then Anna McKenna, an Australian woman, they were up ahead maybe 10 feet or so for a little while. And it was one of those things where you think, yes, I could take a few quick steps and just be right there, but it's way too early for that. So I'm just going to stay as calm as I can and try to move well without exerting myself too much.
So did you get into your rhythm pretty quickly, would you say?
Yes and no. I think on the road before we got into the mud, it was easy to just let the miles slide by. But then as soon as we got on the mud, I don't think anybody was really finding rhythm in that, just because it was pretty slow going, and just you had to stay really engaged, because it was also hard to tell what was mud, and there were rocks kind of mixed in. I know a lot of people rolled their ankles, so you just had to be pretty focused through that section.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I would think, because it's sandy too, that's the kind of mud that is really
sticks to you.
Like, it's gloopy.
Yeah, actually, Tyler ran the first 20 miles the day before the race to get some information on the conditions, and he had mud sticking to the bottoms of his shoes, maybe an inch or so.
Wow.
So I was fully prepared for that. But interestingly enough, nobody really that I've talked to, and I myself didn't experience that. So it didn't stick as bad as I thought it would.
That's good.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling at the 50-mile mark, and what position were you in by Table Mesa?
At the 50-mile mark, jumping right to 50 miles.
Well,
okay.
Well, that's when the race starts.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking too, but I felt like the race started back back at Black Canyon City when Becca caught up to me. But if
Oh,
you, yeah, if you want to talk about Table Mesa, I was feeling like kind of fire in my belly, like ready to go. I knew that Becca was super close and I wanted to make it a really quick stop. So I got what I needed and grabbed my second pacer and just tried to keep pressing as much as I could.
Hmm.
that's true because the Becca did mention that you guys got into Table Mesa at the same time.
I think she was maybe 20 seconds back.
Mm.
I don't think the elastic had quite snapped on the gap between the two of us, but we were extremely close right
So,
there.
uh, so you knew that she was kind of gaining on you, and then do you have an extra gear at that point?
Well, actually, we had been running together prior to that, for about 20 miles. So when I mentioned Black Canyon City, she caught up to me there at mile 37, and we ran together pretty much all the way into Table Mesa. Maybe a mile out from Table Mesa, there was a creek crossing,
Hmm.
and on the opposite side of the creek, there was a really slippery bank that you had to climb up to get out of the creek. And I had I had run that section a few days prior, so I knew that mud was extremely slippery. So when I climbed out, I grabbed onto this prickly little bush to help me get out. And Becca, I guess this was on the live stream, I guess she slipped back into that creek. And so right there, I put, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds on her after running together for 20 miles.
Wow.
And then my pacer caught up to me and I thought it was her. So I said, "Yeah, girl." And he said, "It's me." And he said, "Hey, she's a little bit back, but if you want to try to make a move right here, I think it's a good idea."
Mm.
So I tried to push a little bit harder just to distance myself a little bit more from her. So by the time we got into Table Mesa, I was maybe, 20 seconds ahead of her. So rather than her catching up to me, it was me putting the tiniest little gap on her.
So do you prefer that being chased, or would you rather do the chasing?
Typically I like to do the chasing, I think, but you know, it's tough because you want to, if you're feeling good, you want to capitalize on that. You don't want to hold back. And I think at that point, I was just doing the best that I could in the moment. So, yeah, it was really exciting. And I think it's good for the sport when we have these really, really close races. It's much more fun to watch than someone just blowing it out of the water and running, hours faster than the second place person.
Right.
Mm.
And to backtrack just a minute here, when did you take the lead? Because I know there was some jostling at the beginning there with Heather and as you said, Anna, but when did you actually take the lead?
So going back to Black Canyon City, I was in second place. I think Heather was, I calculated her to be about 6 minutes ahead of me because there was a little out and back section. So I glanced at my watch when I passed her and I remembered the cactus that we were near. And then I glanced back at my watch when I ran past that. And I think she was about 6 minutes ahead there. So Becca and I worked together on the climb out of Black Canyon City. It's about 1,000 foot climb.
Mm.
We passed Heather maybe 3/4 of the way up that climb. And actually Becca passed me on that climb, maybe halfway up. And then I just stuck right behind her. And then the two of us together, we passed Heather. And then Becca was in the lead all the way through Cottonwood Gulch aid station at mile 46.
Mhm.
And I tried to make that a really quick aid. I just grabbed some water, didn't stop very long. And I actually passed Becca at that aid station. So I guess technically I didn't lead the race until Cottonwood Gulch at mile 46.
Okay.
But you can't really call it taking the lead because Becca was still right there. I mean, she could have very easily been in the lead if she wanted to. She could have just run right past me, I'm sure. So we were still working together at that point. I would say we were sharing the lead. And then maybe more definitively taking the lead when I made the move in that at that creek crossing about a mile out from Table Mesa. So maybe mile 50 or so.
Okay. All right. I loved what you said. I read a quote in Outside Magazine where you said just that. You were hammering together for a really long time. You're just in it together, and in those moments you feel it really strongly. It felt really collaborative. I was running a lot harder than I wanted to, but it didn't feel antagonistic, and Becca was forcing me to get the most out of myself, and you're grateful for that. And I think that that's such a awesome thing to be hearing from you guys that are obviously everyone wants to win the race. That's in it for that, right? And you're all going for the golden ticket. But at the same time, you are encouraging each other, lifting each other up, and the best runner on the day wins the race. So I love hearing that spirit that you have. And I think that that's so awesome. And I hope that it continues throughout the sport and more people feel that way, because it's just so great to hear about that.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, there's no way that I run the time that I ran, which was, I think, 2 minutes off course record, if Becca hadn't been pushing me. I think it's really, really special to know that you gave your best. And, you know, you always want your competitors to come into a race at their best and to perform their very best, because it forces you to do the same. So, yeah, I'm really grateful for Becca for all her amazing energy and for making me run a lot harder than I wanted to.
And that's one thing at international races, you don't necessarily know who your competitor is going to be, right? Unless you've really done your homework.
That's true, but I think there's the sport is so international that I know a lot of the international competitors. A lot of them are now my friends. So that's a really fun thing for me about trail running, that yeah, maybe at first I didn't know a lot of the people that I was racing against, but now I think I have a better idea. And though there's a language barrier, I think, you know, there's still encouragement and some communication that goes on out there. So that's fun.
So what was going through your mind when you crossed the finish line and you're handed that big, giant check to Western?
I was really happy to be done. I thought you were going to say you were handed that big, giant baby, because my dad handed my son off to me about 30 feet before the finish line. But yeah, I was just really happy to be done and relieved. And yeah, I was thrilled to have gotten a golden ticket to Western States.
Now that Western States will be your first 100-miler, is that right?
Yep.
And what are your thoughts about that?
I'm excited. You know, I always said I think I need to have a baby before I run 100 miles, and now I've done that, and I'm excited to see what the new uncharted territory is like.
What are you most looking forward to at Western States?
I've been to Western States, I think 4 times now. My husband has run it 4 times, and I've paced him in several of those. And even before he got into Western States, we drove out and ran on the course. And I think it's just, I have so many memories sprinkled throughout that area. And this is the same as it was for Black Canyons. I'm just excited to have a spectacular day with really a lot of my friends who are running the race. I'm excited to make those memories and also be reminded of past memories that have been made on the course with my friends and family.
And both you and Tyler are racing the same day. So who's on baby duty again?
My parents, and I think maybe my brother and his wife are going to come. So yeah, my parents have been very supportive of our racing, and they've come to a lot of races with us, including they came to Europe with us this summer and
Nice.
to the Canary Islands. Tyler ran Trans Gran Canaria. So
Oh, nice.
they're amazing, and it's great because it allows us to really focus on the racing.
Do they still live in Minnesota?
They do.
Yeah. So any baby time they can get, I'm sure they're grateful for you. They probably tell you to race every month.
Yeah, they actually watched. Oh, can you hear that lawnmower?
No.
Nope.
Oh, okay, great. They actually watched Lewis in Minnesota for 2 weeks while we were in Hong Kong. So
Wow.
yeah, they love the little guy.
Who would you look forward to running against or competing against at Western States? Because it's going to be such an incredible field of women, like it was last year.
Yeah. I mean, everyone. I can't pick a single one, but one that I'm particularly excited to spend some time with, hopefully, is Esther Tilog.
Yes.
We had her on our podcast.
Oh, amazing. I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah.
And that's because I met her when we were in Hong Kong and just really love her, and she's just an incredible person and now a good friend, and not someone that I will get to see very much because we live very far away. So I'm hoping that we get to share some miles together.
Yes, when she did, well, we had her on a week after Western States last year, and it was just an incredible time for women. And she was saying that the media had no choice but to look at the women because it was completely woman dominated, and what the women did, especially what Courtney did. But nevertheless, it was a woman's year.
Yeah.
And she had such a tough time at UTMB being sick, and I don't even know that she completed like 10K. I think she stopped pretty quickly. So
this year.
This year.
Well, last year. Yeah.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah. Or last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're excited for her too, because she seems like a really genuinely sweet person and a mom.
She really is. She's incredible, and she's an art history PhD as well. Yeah.
Yep. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, right.
Now, with the new World Trail Majors organization coming out, there is a Canadian race in there, and I don't think you've done any Canadian races. So how about maybe thinking about checking out one of our big events?
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm totally open to it.
Especially in BC. I'm sure that would seem like a second home to you in terms of the trails and conditions. So any reason why you guys haven't raced in Canada yet?
I was thinking about doing Whistler Alpine Meadows a few years ago, and it just didn't quite work out with our schedules. There's no reason we haven't. We actually went to Squamish for our honeymoon.
Wow.
We were supposed to go to Bali, and the night before we were going to fly out, we said, we don't even like the beach. Let's do something else. And we just drove up first we went to Eastern Oregon, went camping there, and then we went to Squamish and ran around there. So we love it. It's incredible.
Yep.
The night before you decided against Bali?
Yeah, we had our bags packed and everything. And I think I said, so do you how excited are you about this? And he's like, oh, I mean, I'm glad you said something because it just doesn't feel right. And I was like, yeah, what are we going to do there? Like, where are the trails? We don't like the beach. Well, not that we don't like the beach, but we just don't like laying on the beach.
Right.
Really,
exactly.
Yeah.
That must have been a quick repack then, because the clothing's not the same.
No, it's not.
Oh man. Well, we haven't been to Squamish, but of course we know from Gary Robbins that it's the place to be. So, but if you want to check out something other than BC, Quebec would be the place to go. But very technical trails, and they have Quebec Mega Trail, which is now part of the WTM. But anyways, we always goad our American guests into saying, come on, guys, you got to come to Canada. We're your closest neighbor. What's up?
Yeah, that sounds great. I feel like I'm maybe also like 10% Canadian, just being from Minnesota, like, similar accent.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, man.
Sure.
Well, this has been awesome, Rachel. Thank you so much for joining us. We loved hearing about your Black Canyon experience, and of course we'll be following Western States very closely. But before we let you go, we'd like to do a little rapid fire. It's just some fun questions to end off the pod, so hope you don't mind.
Right. Sure.
All right, let's get into it. Would you rather be a professional writer, painter, or musician?
Painter.
Oh, we don't get that one very often.
No. That wasn't Becca's answer.
What was hers?
No. You have to listen to the
I'll have to
podcast.
listen. I'll have to listen. Okay.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Cotton candy.
Oh,
that's a good one.
okay. All right. What's another sport you'd like to excel in?
Kite surfing.
Ooh, that would be fun. Are you superstitious?
No.
No, not at all?
No.
Okay. If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to and why?
I would like to, well, if I could be a little older, I'd like to go back to like right before I was born because my grandpa passed away 10 days before I was born, so I never got to meet him. So
Aw.
if I could go back to then, or maybe even a little bit before then, when my grandpa was younger.
Aw,
that'd be
that's
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, to see. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
What's your favorite go-to meal after a big effort, big race?
Like cheese and carbs, I would say. Maybe quesadilla or grilled cheese, or at least that's what was hitting the spot right after Black Canyons. That or some sort of just really calorically dense drink, like a smoothie or yeah.
Love it.
Mm.
All right, Norm.
Like a superpower you'd like to have.
A speak any language.
Oh, we've never had that.
That would be a superpower.
That would be amazing.
How many languages are there in the world?
I don't know, but to just be able to pull one off at the top of your head, that would be amazing.
Any language, even in
Any language,
Past
any
Latin,
Latin,
or
indigenous languages that have no
yeah.
writing. I think it'd just be cool to be able to instantly communicate with anyone, anywhere.
I love that. That is my favorite answer.
You blew us away on that one.
Thank you, Rachel. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time today.
Thank you so much. This was really fun.
All the best for your training for Western. We'll be watching.
Thanks.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
And that was Rachel Drake, fresh off her win at Black Canyon.
Yes, indeed.
Golden ticket winner to Western States, to the big show.
I think I've said this before, but I'd love to know the percentage of elites that go to Western with a golden ticket that have never run a 100-miler.
I think it's becoming more common because
Yeah.
100 miles is a put a lot of stress on the body. So do 100K to further the career.
Good point.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm telling everyone that I know. So don't do 100 mile after 100 mile like I did. Do 100Ks. 100Ks. Get your tickets, then do your 100 mile.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Anyway, I also love the fact that her and Becca stuck together and had some sort of game plan. I don't think it was spoke of, but hey, we're here together. Let's climb this hill together. Let's become 1 and 2, or stick together.
See what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah.
You push me, I push you.
Mm-hmm. Rather than, like she said, leading the race outright and not having that push. It's less interesting for sure when that happens. But
it was great to see that unfold.
Definitely.
And that's definitely what's going to happen at Western States.
For sure.
The women at Incredible Fields will happen at Western, but they're all going to be pushing each other, which is what the sport is all about.
You got it. I also liked her comments on the struggles that she had postpartum and the fact that she wants to talk about it and let other women know that, it was a struggle. It continues to be, but the more we talk about it, the better it is for people to deal with it. And life is not Instagram perfect.
That's true. And I'm a man.
Anyways, we'll be excitedly watching this power couple, Tyler Green and Rachel Drake, at Western States, along with all the other people that will be there. Mm-hmm. Definitely won't be leaving the house that weekend. And who are we chatting with tomorrow? Tomorrow we've got the third place female, Lauren Peretz.
Wow, we just keep on moving along.
Well, we like to talk to people that haven't necessarily been on our radar. Obviously, Rachel has been, because we're familiar with her, but Becca and Lauren, not as of yet. So it's exciting to see these new runners on the scene for us and to follow them, because inevitably, once they hit Western, they're a household name.
And if you like this episode, hey, please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Cheers.
Bye.